Alright, so for all of you, I hope that you aren't kicking yourself for taking the job. You wanted to be a lawyer, you spent all that time in law school, and here we go. You're watching some random guy opening up Pokemon and baseball cards while discussing a hostile takeover attempt on his YouTube channel, while also outing corruption at the same time through that acquisition. And also protecting his YouTube channel from any kind of disruption so he can actually get views and organic growth. So essentially, I've basically federally protected my YouTube channel, which is amazing because it's a disclosure portal. Under the most mundane documents in the world. People usually look at Schedule TO, and they look at, what was the other one that I use? And they also look at the Reg FD and also 13D filings as just like whatever. They look at that as smoke. Not me. There's a lot that needs to be dressed down here. And for years, this has just been completely ignored. And just because something is tech, new, or innovative doesn't mean that it does not have to follow compliance. You know how many frauds I've seen over the years? Tons. Tons. Yeah, so we got another all whatever this is. I have no idea what all ETA is. All come on, give me a 1 out of 1 star. Give me 1 out of 1 number. Just do it. Give me like $20,000 card here. That rookie card. Bliss. I'll go over these later. It's like shitty. I mean, they're not shitty, but they're shitty. I don't know who in their right mind buys this stuff. This might be a good deck because this is a heavy one. Skubal, Kirby, Bliss, Schwellenbach, Sweeney, yeah. Nothing crazy. Nothing. Nothing. Alright, Crawford. Steer. And that's an interesting card. Alright, we got Sam Aldegheri. This tells me that we're going to just throw this guy here. Yeah, I can imagine some of these guys who are like just like super loaded. They just like buy the most expensive possible boxes that they can get, and they just throw these guys into like, like wherever. Buy the most expensive possible things. How many did I open of these already? Yes, this Bryce Harper card. You know what's a pain in the neck? I'm going to have to go through and I'm going to not only have to, put everything else into sleeves, but I'm also then going to have to go on my computer and figure out who's worth watching and a way to track all this. So you can see that that's like a full-time job, right? And at the same time, I'm also doing this takeover. I'm also doing Other what other stuff am I doing besides that? Yeah, I'm also doing the OpenAI shit that I'm doing. So 1, 2, 3. Then the Pokemon stuff, trading. I've got some stock positions and things like I'm long this one company. What the is that? Power players? What's this, people? I collect things, but I really don't know what I'm doing. Do you think I'm going to ask a question about this? I mean, it looks cool. Power players. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy these Chrome boxes again. I think I like the other ones better. But, I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, so this is all just like more foil nonsense. Obviously I spend so much money on this stuff, and I also have so many of them that that a good number of the inventory I've got is going to hit. You just know that. Anthony Santander, Adam Kloffenstein, rookie card. 2 Blue Jays guys. Baseball cards, the entire idea of these is to be able to bet in places where you can't actually bet. It's like, hey, we got lottery tickets everywhere. Yeah, see, nothing like really special. Nothing. Now I have to actually go through and do all these. So, C.J. Abrams. This is a pop out. JT Realmuto. Hunter Renfroe. Well, yeah, if you actually went through all of my entities and all of my business partners and people I've ever worked with over the past 10 years, however far your statutes of limitations can run, I bet that you would find something out. I bet that something would, I don't know. I'm an excellent point of entry for a lot of different types of legislation. Not only financial markets, but the financial markets and their collusion with certain public officials likely go back to certain companies. I'm not talking of like the BlackRocks or Blackstones of the world. I'm talking about some private companies with some public company exposure. The real problem in this country is not exactly the public. It's not what the public can see. It's the people who are sort of pulling the strings behind our current economic apparatus. I currently have no confidence in the Federal Reserve. I have confidence in the US dollar, but I don't have confidence in the Federal Reserve. The U.S. dollar is backed by military. It is backed by legacy. It is backed by this country. The U.S. military is a different animal. Everything of what I've just talked about is significant. And I truly do believe, based off of circumstantial and the evidence and the preponderance of evidence, I believe that the United States is being controlled by outside forces that have entrenched themselves with political dogma. That specific group happens to be from the Middle East. That specific group has a lot of good people, just like anyone else does. There are good and bad people, whether or not they are black, white, brown, yellow, blue, anything. That doesn't matter. People are people. But the way that these particular people that are complicit, the way they're acting is, one, not even sanctioned by their own, and two, represents, I would say, the biggest political fraud in U.S. history. The people who have done these things that I don't like, I would describe them as neoconservatives, neocons. Now, it's not to say that they're evil people or anything. They're operating in a way that is their own interest. Which is, you know what, fine, operate in your own interest. Do what you want, do what you need to. But it's a different story when their interest, when they come after me. They come after me. So this takeover is not just to ingratiate myself and people around me through nepotism and corrupt systems. No, not at all. It's not what's motivating me. I would gleefully work with them if it was that. But it's not the case. These people, in my opinion, are anti-American. They are opportunistic and outright hedonist. These people, we all know them too. It's not like any kind of big story. New York has produced the most corrupt elite class since the Roman Empire. In Western history, at least. What really stings me is when I see people on TV just preaching our democracy, blah, blah, blah. No. We don't have a democracy. We have a republic. A democratic republic. And that democratic republic has done a significant job in upholding individual rights and liberties. The SEC has done a tremendous job in upholding the rights and individual liberties, not only of corporations, but of shareholders and investors alike. Oftentimes, a deal that sounds too good to be true is too good to be true. In fact, it always is. There's always a caveat. Pokemon cards, they're worth a lot of money now, but you know, when over the course of time of holding on to them, price swings around wildly. Not only that, if you were to sell all of your Pokemon cards in one shot, say if I were to sell a portion of my collection, $50,000 worth of it, what would that really do? What kind of transaction would that even look like? What am I even doing at that point? What does that look like? What is the structure? When you get to a certain threshold, a certain value, you need to have lawyers involved, or at least you need to have cash involved, or you need to have something where it's being done correctly. Some type of, at the very least, title transfer. From a due diligence perspective, you would need some provenance. Make sure you're not selling grandpa's car or some shit. You know? I don't think people think ahead. I don't think they want to think ahead a lot of the time. And this kind of stuff, what I'm talking about with corporate law, I speak it fluently, yeah. But who the hell wants to hear all that shit? Nobody. Nobody does. They want to have like their nice little, whatever the hell it is they do every day, fantasy world. They want to be able to play with their fantasy football team online. They print out the sheets where they get their basketball brackets done, or they just work at they just live in Pokemon World or something, or they play video games all day or something. They don't want to be bothered with all this shit. I don't want to be bothered with all this shit, but you know, here we are. So if you're going to bother me with shit, I'm going to make sure that it is a full-on legal drama and saga. And then I'm going to have the proper price discovery if this is not going to be done quickly. In terms of what it would look like to get this done quickly is the actual current leadership at IAC needs to help me close out the investment group that will essentially bring the company private. Now, with all these allegations and whatnot, it does make sense to bring the company private. Let's look at it even from their point of view. Let's play some devil's advocate here. If you are a public company and you know that your staff has operated in a way that is not above board, and someone is offering to pay $70 a share when your company that has not acted above board is trading at around $40 a share. Not only do you get paid and your investors get paid to no longer be burdened with the bullshit, you are no longer under SEC scrutiny. When you take your equity private, you suddenly don't have all these reporting requirements. You suddenly don't have these issues. And I don't even know what IAC is doing with their stock anyway. You look at their options chain, goes out maybe a couple quarters at most. They don't have a robust liquidity pool for options. They don't really do much of the finance side of it at all. They just have like this public company that's just like chilling there. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they have it that way. They have not done a single thing with their equity to maximize the valuation of their company. Now, they might be trying to just operate in the shadows and be quiet, but to me, that $70 buyout price is a fix-all problem. Because guess what? I raised the money, then we've got this investment group together. We've bought the company for shy of $6 billion, and that's including fees. Which, by the way, if they do decide to do this deal easily right up front without bringing in a proxy war or something, then, we'll probably bake in their closing costs with ours. I don't know. It's too many details right now to consider for that to be definitive, but I'm willing to work with this to make it work. As far as I'm concerned, they're about to go into the hot seat and have a lot to respond to. And, I am passionate and I am, an activist in that sense. But I'm also not your typical activist who, doesn't go public. Normally people do this, they go on to like Bloomberg or something. But you know what? That's too elitist for me. M&A can be elitist, but it can also be grassroots. If you see a problem, you can do something about it. And I see a lot of problems over there. I see a lot of them, and I see some opportunity, though, for learning points to fix them. And I don't know, it's not my call to say how good or bad something is. I'm looking at it from the business end. I want to know how much they're worth, what they're worth, and what they can do. And from that, we can finalize an offer that's substantiated. But given all the information that I see that's, evident, or that can be otherwise implied and result in the preponderance of, that is certainly something that is very interesting. Every single conversation that I have with myself broadcasted over YouTube brings it questions how deep things go, who's doing what, are there tentacles, or am I imagining things? When you answer all those questions, and if every single answer that is solidified actively proves that this is all in my head, I would be amazed. Because that would be some very good legal work. And that would explain why Barry's counsel is Barry's counsel. You get what I mean? If she is that good, and she might be, we don't know, I want to see every single point solidly disproven. And I also want to see, in fact, I challenge her to beat every single point and substantiate that offer price, or even ask for a higher price. That is if they are interested in the sale. And that is if the shareholders might be interested even in the sale, because this would need to be voted on by the shareholders. This is not something that is simple where it's King Barry decides what we are going to do. It is the community of shareholders and the investors and the stakeholders, the bondholders, the people who own the rights to certain intellectual property. All these people have some say in this. It's not something that's so simple. So the chance of this acquisition happening, and I'm being very honest, is probably around 10%, 15% possible. And that is because of the number of people, the sheer number of people involved in it. But it's a risk that I am willing to take with my time. My time could be better spent doing something else. But again, given the factors, the things I've brought up, I'm absolutely serious about doing a full-on buyout, and I'm absolutely serious, very serious, about making sure that nothing is not above board going on over there. I want to make sure that they're not going to do something that is going to undermine the principles of this country. This is why shareholder activism is so potent. It is why these forms and these questions are in place. There's a reason why fraud gets outed in this country. I am vehemently against fraud. I am vehemently against malpractice. I'm vehemently against abuse of power. And I am full on in support of people who just want to live their damn lives. And that's basically it. That is entirely it. So here we got a bunch of, they're decent cards. Nothing really crazy. Out of 3 packs, I don't know what this is worth. It's probably I probably more than broke even. So, that's fine. But the point is, again, that's not even the point. See, here, look. When you got one of these autograph cards, the stack is shorter. Because they view that as something special. I don't know. You're guaranteed at least 28 cards in this. And it looks like we got 4 more extra there, 6 more. So yeah, I really can't complain on that. It's like, 100 extra cards. Excellent. Let's see. Let's look at stuff that is significantly interesting. Now, all this stuff is actually useful. These are all actually good. Baseball cards are weird. It matters more about the player than how shiny something is. So, anyway, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. That also counts as a timestamp. Have a great one.